Hello, everybody. Welcome to the very last safety meeting for the 22-23 school year. Getting started today, we're going to jump right in. We're going to talk about a sensitive subject.
Is that blood?
No, it's just like...
Blood!
Oh. Clean up on aisle 12! Anybody?
You'll need help cleaning up. I'm in puke!
Are you alright?
Still need help cleaning up, Dad.
No, you mopped it up enough with your back.
So yes, our sensitive subject is vomiting on the bus, children who throw up on the bus. So I want to talk a little bit about some of the things that you should and should not do should the children throw up on the bus. Now I understand we're at the end of the school year, and probably the farthest thing from your mind is what I'm going to do if a kid throws up on the school bus next year. Well, we do need to talk about this because we've had some issue this year with how drivers handled the situation. So first things first, things that you should do, put on gloves. Now, I always highly recommend that you get a baggie, a Ziploc baggie, a little sandwich bag. Go to the fuel island, grab 2 or 3 extra pairs of gloves from the boxes there at the fuel island, put them in that baggie, and put them in your jockey box or somewhere easily accessible in your driver's compartment. Now, there are gloves in the first aid kit. There are gloves in the body fluid cleanup kit, and you are more than welcome to break into those anytime you need a pair of gloves. But this way, having a few extra there in the jockey box, they're a lot quicker to get at. And you can get them on a lot quicker than if you had to break open the kit, break open the package, find the gloves, that kind of thing. Also, if you have a very runny mess or a very large mess in the body fluid cleanup kit is a package of Absorb powder. Now, what this powder does is it turns into a gel when it comes in contact with fluids. So it's the same stuff they put in baby diapers. You sprinkle it over the mess. It's in a cellophane packet. Sprinkle it over the mess, and it turns to gel. It helps with the odor. It helps with the cleanup, so it's a lot easier to clean up, especially if you have a mess that's running all over the place. This can help contain the mess. Move the other students away from the throw up. Now, if most kids, someone throws up and the first thing they're going to do is they're going to start dive bombing out of the seat. They're going to be doing everything they can to get away as quickly as can from the child that's throwing up. But there's always seems to be one or two that's just fascinated. They want to stay right there. They want to help, but try to move the other children away. And this is not to, make the child that's throwing up feel bad about themselves. But if it is a viral thing, maybe we can kind of contain the germs. And plus, we treat all body fluids as if they're infected, universal precautions. And this lessens the chance of them touching the fluids from the child who is ill. When you do the cleanup, use the spick and span. That is a general disinfectant as well. Be sure to get the floor, the seats. I always like to get the seat back of the one behind them, the seat back of the seat they're in, the window area, and I hit a couple of seats around it as well, and on the floor really good under all the seats, just trying to hit, if you had some aerosolized viruses, just try to get it all. And make sure to clean the bus thoroughly when you return to the yard. Now, what you don't want to do, okay, is you don't want to panic, but you also don't make the child clean up the mess themselves. You're the driver. That is your job, okay? And if you look in this picture here, you have 2 men standing over a young girl scrubbing the floor. You make a child clean up their own vomit mess, and that's really what you're going to look like. You're just going to look like a big jerk. So it's your job. If you need a mop and bucket, clean up the mess as best as you can with what you have available, the paper towels, the absorbed powder, your gloves. And then when you return to the yard, let the shop know that you need a mop and bucket, and they'll get that ready for you so that you can get that cleaned up. But please never, never have a child clean up their own vomit mess.
morning, Addison.
Good morning.
How are you doing today?
Good. How are you?
Oh, great.
Who is that guy? I don't know. I haven't seen him before.
14 to 103. I'm passing up my third stop in Augusta Woods, the Collins house, because there's a suspicious character lurking around. I'm not going to endanger the rest of the kids. I need some help, please. Come on, hurry up, get on. Sir, can I help you? Sir! Oh! Get off the bus! Get off the bus! Get off!
So the chances of something like this happening are slim, but they're not none. Okay, like I said, our society is becoming increasingly violent, and people are just, I don't know, jumping to extreme measures. It's very sad to me. So things that you can do: be prepared. That's that thinking through these scenarios. Remain calm. That's the biggest thing. Do as you're told within reason. We're going to see a video in a little bit where there was attempted hijacking on a bus, and the driver said that the hijacker wanted to switch places with her while she was driving, and she refused because that's not within reason. Talk calmly. Protect the students. Try to reassure the students. Let them know help's on the way, and see if you can convince the suspect to let you release the students. Say, hey, this is just you and me. Let's let the students go. They're just innocent bystanders. Let's just let the kids off the bus, and I am 100% yours. I will do whatever you want.
Newly released video and 911 calls of a harrowing ordeal on board a school bus. A man with a knife allegedly hijacking the vehicle packed with children, leading police in Arkansas on a 20-minute chase last month. Kids and driver safely rescued. ABC's Gio Benitez has the story.
Watch the dramatic, newly released video captured on police dash cam. Kids escaping a school bus, allegedly hijacked by a knife-wielding man. Just minutes earlier, a frantic woman had dialed 911.
He got on the school bus with a knife with the bus driver, and they're driving down North Martin Street.
Police chased that bus with 11 elementary school children on board. The driver describing the terror inside.
He flipped the knife out and he said, drive, shut the door and drive. And that's what I did. I said, okay, where do you want to go? What's wrong?
The 911 caller on the street tries to keep calm.
I'm so scared. scared her.
It's okay. Just calm down, okay?
He was some crazy freaking guy, and he had a knife.
He didn't even want me to stop the bus. He wanted me to switch with him while the bus was rolling. And I said, no, we can't do that.
Police in Jacksonville, Arkansas chased the bus for some 12 miles until they stopped it. Those little kids run out one by one, rushing to safety.
Give me your hands. Give me your hands.
Little girl told me she was scared, and I told her it was going to be okay.
Police surround the bus and arrest 22-year-old Nicholas Miller. Law enforcement telling ABC News overnight, Miller told them he took the bus because he felt somebody was after him. He's pleaded not guilty to 22 charges, including kidnapping. This morning, that bus driver of 20 years hailed as a hero. She certainly is. Nicholas Miller's father, by the way, told us his son is a great kid who wasn't trying to hurt anyone, but he acknowledged that Miller is addicted to drugs. He'll face a judge in January. Robin, just imagine, these kids were on their way to school.
Yeah, that's right. Didn't get quick acting. All right, Gio, thanks very much.
So we have the 10 code cards on our buses. For those of you who are newer, or maybe yours blew out the window or something, we'll have them again at the beginning of next year. And basically, it's a card. Got one right here. Looks like this has the radio codes. We laminate them for easy posting with just the typical 10 codes that we use: 10-2, 10-3, 10-4, 10-7, 10-8. But the ones that can be pertinent in this situation is the 1031, which is the knife on the bus, the 1032, gun on bus, 1033 is other emergency. Now, if you can remember that, and especially if you don't want to alert the suspect to that you have knowledge of what's going on, you can use those codes. Route MO4 to base, I have a 1032 on my bus. That's a signal to dispatch also to call the police right away. They can zone R and see where your location is in real time, where you're, which way you're headed. And if the person doesn't know that you know, then great, and try and keep that. They also will not be responding back, asking you questions, that kind of thing. Because if you're using that code, that is code to us that the suspect does not know that you are aware of the situation. So let's talk about some of the scenarios you could think through and some of the questions you should ask yourself. What tactics could you use to calm a student with the gun? Could you convince them to try and give you the gun? One of our SMCs, Alan, has experience. He was a police officer, lots of experience with de-escalating, negotiating, and he can give you some talking points and how you would talk to somebody in an escalated situation to try and bring down the level of stress. Things from the words that are said to even the tone of voice. Now, ladies, we tend to talk up here at the top of our voice, and the more excited we get, the faster that we talk, or if we start screeching and yelling, that kind of tone is very stress-inducing, especially on men. It's biology. I'm not making any sexist statements or anything like that. That is a proven biological fact. That up here at the top of the voice is stress-inducing, okay? Lower your tone. Slow down your speech. Don't talk fast, because the person that is already trying to process a lot of information and they're not thinking rationally. And if you start injecting a whole bunch of words into it, it can make it worse and make them feel like they're getting pushed to a kind of painted in a corner type of situation. So how could you protect the students? Would you choose to call over the radio for help? Would you use the code phrase? Would you attempt to evacuate the students? Would you get out of your seat and try to disarm the student if other attempts failed? When we did our training back in August, we talked about run, hide, fight, really the three choices that you have in a shooter situation or really any situation. Do you run? Do you try to get away, evade? On a school bus, that's really hard to do. Do you hide? Again, on a bus, how would you do that? Do you fight? Now, in the very first video that we watched where the driver started to slow for the stop, saw a suspicious character, and drove away, that's kind of a run and a hide situation put together. Just removed everybody that he could from the situation, ran away, radio dispatch. In that case, try and drive to a police station. We'll give you permission to go off route. try and get the attention of other motorists. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Jerk your steering wheel, slam on the brakes, pull the emergency brake, knock the shooter off their feet. All sorts of things that you could do to potentially help in these situations. So this next video is going to have 3 possible scenarios. The student with the gun. So in scene 1, be aware, observe the student's behaviors. What did the driver do? There's the option of pulling the brake to jerk the shooter off their feet. Scene 2, defend, fight, waste time in order to get the students off the bus. Or scene 3, try to jerk the shooter off their feet so the students can get off of the bus. So let's watch this next video.
Are you guys ready for that history quiz today?
There's a history quiz today?
Well, I was doing the packet last night, yeah, but I fell asleep.
I was working really late.
Well, we can study on the bus.
So what's his problem?
I mean, I don't really know him that well, but he's been acting a little weird lately.
It's kind of creeping me out. Well,
Don't, just stop talking about it.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Josh. Come on, hurry up. Is everything all right?
So she went home to the phone, right? She's in the post office. And so she starts talking about his name. With both of us
It's still crazy. I was like, yeah, really. Is that?
Get off the bus! Get off the bus! Off the bus!
So I know that this is very sobering and can be a very scary thing to think about. And quite truthfully, there's probably students that have brought weapons on the bus that we're never even aware of because the threat's not made on the bus or that's not the time that they choose to act. But it's something that we do need to prepare ourselves for because in our increasingly violent society, this is becoming a reality. But if you notice something, do something. Call dispatch. You can use that code phrase or just say what you're seeing. Give us the opportunity to help you, to call the police. We'll get a manager out to the scene where you're at. Drive to a police station or just break off from the route right there. Drive to the school. You know, be aware. We're so aware of what's going on around our bus, outside of our bus. We talk about it all the time. Our triple LCs, but we have to add another extra level of awareness to these possibilities.
A teenager in Maryland is shaken up after a terrifying attack on a school bus. Happened late Monday afternoon when a bus carrying students home from an alternative middle school stopped at a stop sign. A girl got off, but 3 others rushed on board. The bus driver said she saw the suspects try to shoot the boy in the head. Investigators say at that point, one of the suspects then pointed a gun at the boy's chest and pulled the trigger, but the gun jammed.
This was an attempted murder. Plain and simple. Let's call it what it is. Pulled the trigger 3 times, but for some reason, by the grace of God, the gun didn't go off, and bullets flew out of the gun.
The bus union president says the driver is terrified to return to work. She's afraid the suspects will remember the bus number and try to retaliate against her. There are no arrests at this point in the case.
So things that you can do. I mean, you hear us all the time harp on you about your manifest. This isn't just about finding busy work for you to do. This is about being aware of who's on your bus and are they assigned to your bus. Now, as we phase in, we've got our tablets coming on. We're starting out with the navigation portion. As we phase in, the students being able to scan on and off of the bus, that tablet's going to be assisting you with that manifest. And you have a student that attempts to get on the bus that is not assigned to it. There's some options that you can take. Okay, so we're starting to phase in with the elementary students. The high school students will not happen until the 24-25 school year. Same thing with the middle school students. But you need to be aware of your students. By the first month of school, you should have a pretty good idea by looking at them. You should know the names of the majority of your students. Do they belong on your bus? What their stop is. If you're not making yourself aware of this, you are setting yourself up for a potentially dangerous situation. So work on that manifest. Get that seating chart in place. It's not just about knowing where they're sitting in an accident. It's for safety as well. If you can fake a breakdown, there's an option right there. Or just like I said, just drive to the school or drive to a police station. Do something to get the attention of the other motorists. You can start driving very erratically. I guarantee you, I will be getting phone calls stating, what the heck is going on. Get the lights flashing, all the lights flashing on the bus that you can, honking the horn. Excuse me. Whatever you can do to make yourself very visible. Verbal things you can do to try and de-escalate a situation. Have that listening face. I already talked a little bit about the tone of voice and the register. Bring your voice down, slow down your speech, because if you start barraging somebody with words, it's just going to increase the stress level. Give indicators that you're listening. I hear what you're saying. You're telling me that you're very upset and nobody is listening to you. I'm listening to you. When you repeat back phrases, that says to the person speaking that you are hearing what I am saying. It's not just going in one ear and out the other. Avoid phrases like, you don't understand, what's your problem? What are you, an idiot? Anything like that, because you're putting that person on the defensive. They're already on some type of defensive mode. They're highly stressed. Adrenaline's running high. They're not thinking clearly, okay? So using those kinds of phrases just make it sound like you're against them. I mean, yeah, we are against them, but we need to try and de-escalate the situation. And like I mentioned before, SMC Allen has real-world experience in this. He was a California police officer. He was involved in many, many standoffs and de-escalated many, many situations. And he can help you with phrases and things to say to help de-escalate situations. Let's talk about your pre-trip. Those of you who skim through your pre-trip, don't look around very well. Don't look under those seats. That's a security threat. Okay? If you've been away from that bus, do you know who's been on it? Who's been around it? Did they place a package? Did they stash something? Is there somebody hiding? Especially those of you who do field trips. And now, when we get into the fall, our sports field trips, because it's during nighttime and it's dark around the bus, and someone could potentially get on a bus or damage a bus or hide on a bus with little risk of being seen because of the daylight. Anytime you've walked away from that bus, do another walk around. Now, if you're on a trip and you've already done your pre-trip and all that, you don't need to do the full pre-trip again and the brake check and all that, but do a walk around. Look at your tires, look at your wheel wells, open the rear door, look under the seats. Is there a backpack there or a bag or something that you don't recognize? I mean, before you got off of that bus, you should have walked it anyway to do a child check and see what's still on the bus. They left some backpacks, so there's some shoes, there's some clothes, but you come back and you open the door and all of a sudden there's a water bottle propped up under the seat next to the heater that you don't recognize. Was it there before? Are you even aware of that? So the pre-trip isn't just about the safety of the bus. I mean, it's 100% about the safety of the bus, but to add to it, it's about security as well. Just as a reminder, the 3 options that you have in any hostage situation, active shooter, any type of life-threatening situation, your choices are run, hide, or fight. Running, removing yourself from the scene. Now that's going to apply more in like a building situation at a school. It's kind of hard to do in a bus, although, like I said, we saw the scenario where the driver didn't even stop at the stop. Okay, that's a run hide type of scenario. Hiding, get behind a closed door, get under a desk. Now, if you remember, Officer Dance back at the beginning of this school year talked about the worst type of thing you could do in these situations, and that's to play dead. Okay, now obviously, if you're the driver of the bus, you're not going to play dead. You've got to keep that bus moving. You've got to protect those students. But in a building type of situation, hiding is an option, or fight. Okay, now if you decide to fight, you have to be fully committed to that. You have to see it through. So if you're going to run, try and get those students out of the bus with you. If you're going to hide, try and keep the suspect away from the students. But if you're going to fight, like I said, you have to be committed to it. Identify items that you have on your bus right now that could be used as weapons. The fire extinguisher is a really good one. The triangles, the broom, if you have access to it, your ice scraper. Women, we have heavy purses. A good whack across the head with one of those things, you could at least knock somebody down or knock them off their feet or something like that. Be very aggressive and be committed to protecting yourself and the students. Please take a moment and read through this slide. You can pause the video if you need to. But your bus can be a defensive weapon. We talked about jerking the steering wheel to knock a shooter off their feet, pulling the emergency brake. Now monitors, that yellow knob, you should know what that's for. That is the brakes. Okay, so if something happens to your driver, the driver passes out or something like that, or you need to get that bus stopped in a hurry, pull it. Okay, yeah, it's going to jerk you. It's going to throw you forward a little bit, but you know what? Do what you need to do to get that vehicle stopped. Use plain language. Activate the 8 ways. Grab attention. Kind of talked about all of this before, so please pause the video here, read through this slide, and start to think about your bus, your vehicle, what's available to you, what can be done. Monitors, what would you do in this situation if you had a shooter get on the bus or a student stand up with the gun? What could you do? What could you do to help protect the other students if the driver has to keep driving? Could you possibly de-escalate the situation? A lot of different things to think about. Finally made it to the end of our school years. The day that I'm recording this video, we have 3 days, including today, left. And it couldn't come soon enough, and I'm sure everyone will agree. But we made it through. I think we had a pretty good year. We saw great improvements in our service over the year from where we started out at the beginning of the year, with all of the challenges that we had with all of the routes being changed by the district, with students who were registered then unregistered, and all of that kind of thing. And like I said, with increasingly violent students on the bus, I think we met the year head on. We did a good job. So some of our goals for next year is working towards that 0 accidents. We're going to be stepping up training in certain areas. Some of you will be contacted by BTWs over the summer to come in and do some additional training, because we want to make sure that that you don't lose those skills. So it's important that we keep those skills up. So get a schedule of things that are going to be happening over the summer. See when the bid is. We're doing the first right of refusal, meaning that those of you who have a route now, and this includes the monitors, you will have a time to come in and preview the routes. And so you can decide whether to keep your route or if you want to risk it, or not risk, that's a bad word. If you want to put it back into the pool and bid for a new route. So first right of refusal is one of my favorite things, because I usually kept my route. I liked what I did. I put a lot of work into those students during that year. And I felt for continuity and for just the students' peace of mind and mine, it was a lot easier to keep the same route. Now, if you want to get a different route, great. That's totally up to you. If you do decide to bid, those are done based on seniority. So we'll have those times. Be sure and get that calendar to look at that. We'll also be doing a series of lives throughout the summer. Last year we did them on YouTube, and you'll get a notification. So I suggest that you subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you go to the Cascade Student Transportation YouTube channel, and you could do the subscribe and the notification, the little bell. So when we do go live, you get a notification that, hey, there's something going on. And we'll be talking about things that are coming up, things we want you to think about. We also have a series of barbecues this summer for all of our employees and our potential new employees. They happen every other week. Rebecca has the summer calendars out already for June and July. So be sure and pick one of those up. Yeah, a lot of things that we don't shut down over the summer. It's a little slower pace, laid back. If you're driving ESY or summer school, I will be seeing you after the last day of school. If not, if you are choosing to take the whole summer off, I'm happy for you. I really am. Summers off is one of the best reasons to be a school bus driver and a monitor. Get some rest and relaxation. Take care of yourselves. And I look forward to seeing you all in the fall.